I've had a lot of people asking me for the difference between the Flux and the FX, and so here we go, let's take a look. They're both a similar size actually, they've got quite a different design between them, whichever you prefer is up to you. I like both looks. You can see though that actually size wise they're very similar, so they're going to have the same kind of footprint even though they've got quite different designs. The Flux is an all body unit, which means the little stand is just there as a stand. The whole body moves around that stand, whereas on the FX it's only that top section that rotates for the projection. Then if we just come around and open this out, you can see the two disc trays, so they both use a disc tray. The main difference here is that the FX discs have the projection disc built in, whereas the Flux disc you have to add them. So you have one tray, whereas each disc with the FX is its own tray, and you can see there's quite a big difference in size. So to answer the question, no, you can't use the Flux discs in the FX, they're just far too big, they're huge in comparison. Another difference is the Flux uses USB to this round tip, whereas the FX uses USB to USB. That also has a battery built in, and you can see it's a Type-C charging point. Here's the controls on both. They both have a timer, they both rotate, but the Flux has a shooting star, which the FX doesn't. But let's get to what you really want to see, which is how do they compare side by side. Well, this is on the same ceiling, and you can see that the FX and the Flux do actually project quite a different looking pattern. The FX has 3.1 million stars, the Flux has 60,000 in comparison, and that lower number means that you get a lot more dark space. The FX projection is, I'm told, more like what you would see if you go to a dark skies viewing spot, such as in Egypt, where the sky is completely free of light pollution. This is more what you'd see compared to the Flux. The Flux offers more dark space because it's not projecting as many stars. A lot of people have said on other videos that they don't really like the Flux's brighter look. I think it is generally okay, but if you want a softer glow, then maybe the FX is the one for you. What I mean by that is that the FX has a softer projection overall. And in a second what I'm going to do is turn on the Flux and you'll see it overpowers the FX projection. This also emphasises the difference in number of stars being projected. As you can see, there's quite a lot more from the FX than the Flux. I think it's also worth pointing out that the Flux does have a shooting star, which the FX doesn't. And that will appear, there you go, there it is there, and that appears just every now and again. It just adds that little bit of extra movement to the scene. Both do offer rotations. The FX's rotation is slightly slower than the Flux. The Flux has a faster rotation, so if you're looking for something that's maybe a little more relaxing and doesn't have quite the same brightness, then the FX is probably going to be the one for you. On a previous video, I was recently asked a great question about how TVs impact the projection, and even though the Flux is the brighter projector, you can see here with a TV on, they both get pretty much washed out and you can't really enjoy the full effect. So they will work, you can see something, but with a big TV projecting a bright image, it pretty much washes them both out. If you're still unsure which to buy, I hope this will help out. So if we base it on cost, then the FX is currently the lower cost option, although the Flux has been around for quite a while. You might be able to pick that up second hand at a discounted rate. In terms of the number of discs, well, because the Flux has been around for a long time, it has a lot more available. The FX has only just come out and only has a limited number compared to the Flux. If we go off the number of stars though, as I've already mentioned, the FX has 3.1 million compared to the 60,000 of the Flux, but the Flux does have the shooting star, if that's something that you'd think you'd enjoy. Now, if you are looking to use this in a relaxing environment, it's worth noting that the FX is silent in operation, whereas the Flux you will hear a motor turning noise. It's only subtle, but it sounds very loud when placed next to the FX, which is silent. And if you are wondering About powering these, the FX includes a battery, so you can charge that up and put it anywhere, whereas the Flux needs to be plugged into a power outlet. So taking all that into account, which do you prefer, the Flux or the FX? Which will you be buying? I'll put some affiliate links down below. Let me know what you think in the comments, join in the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions and suggestions for future videos.